the examiners, the most important thing at this level, at least, is that you convey the message clearly and more or less accurately. So as long as your spelling mistakes are not too major, and you can still, or someone reading your text can still see what you're trying to say, then that's really all you need. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be looking at the writing part of the B1 Cambridge PET exam. My name is Fiona and I have been working as an English language teacher for about 12 years. Quite a long time. I also work as an examiner for Cambridge. So hopefully some of the advice I am going to give you in this video are things that you might not necessarily hear in your typical English class. Now, throughout the video, I also have a little puzzle for you, a little question. Can you guess where I'm from? Now, maybe you have an idea from my accent. Maybe you have an idea from the decoration in my house. But I will also be dropping some clues, some little hints throughout the video. So keep watching and I will reveal the answer a little bit later on. But let's get started on with our first point. Okay, the first point I'm going to talk about today is the importance of clarity in your writing. And I really can't emphasize enough how important that is. In your exam, there are two writing tasks that you will complete. The first, as you may be aware, the first is an email, normally responding to an email that you've received from an English-speaking friend. And the second is an article, and the third is usually a short story. Okay, so in the exam you have a choice between the second and the third questions. The first one is obligatory, you have to do it, but the question 2 and question 3, you can choose whichever you prefer. But regardless of which question you are working on, it is so important that you pay attention to the question and to the context that you are given. In the email, you are given with you're given a situation, and you'll also receive 4 prompts. Now, these prompts are provided to help give your writing some focus and some structure. So use these. Take advantage of all of the information that you are given, and they will help to guide your writing. Of course, I understand that you want to demonstrate your fantastic use of English, your amazing vocabulary that you have learned during your time studying. However, remember the task. If your job is to respond to an email, to give some preferences and some opinions, do that. Do that first. If you have some leeway, if you have a little extra space, then of course add some extra information to help give your writing that wow factor. But clarity is key. Make sure you answer the question. Make sure you address all of the points or all the prompts that are included. Another thing I would really recommend is that you use past exam papers or sample papers to help you when you are preparing to take the exam. There are a lot of these available. Of course, there are books that you can buy. There are also examples on the Cambridge website that you can download. Even just a quick Google, I'm sure, will give you lots and lots of examples and example questions that you can use to help you. Now, there are some really important advantages to using these past exam papers when you are preparing to take your exam. I have worked with a lot of students who have, let's say, a very good level of English, certainly more than capable of getting their B1 level. But when it came to the exam, they really struggled with the writing parts. And I think that is because they weren't familiar with the type of task that they were going to be seeing in the exam. So through practicing and doing the past papers, it helps you to predict and to get an idea of what you are going to be asked. You might start to notice some patterns or some repetition in the types of questions, and that can help you prepare some phrases or some vocabulary in advance. And that's going to be really useful. Simply being familiar with the exam and what is going to be expected of you gives you an advantage, in my opinion. As you're looking at these past exam questions, you might also notice some phrases, some vocabulary, some structures, some connective devices that you can then use and incorporate into your own writing. So that's really a very valuable thing. Of course, you might see that in your course books, but seeing it in context in the exam, it's, a big hint. Maybe that's a good thing for you to use. The next tip that I'm going to talk about is something that I've mentioned before in a previous video. So if you haven't checked that out already, it should be available here on the Home Studies playlist. And that is using linkers or connective devices. Not just using them, but using a variety of them. These types of words like so, however, although, therefore, these all help to give your writing structure and to help it flow in a more natural way. And there are a lot of different ways that you can connect your ideas in your writing. And I'm going to share with you now some of the most common and probably most useful for this level phrases and the different functions that they serve. So you'll notice that we have some are simply to add extra information, some are to talk about cause and effect, some are to indicate the passing of time, or to conclude, give a conclusion to an ideas. And they all have different functions, but a really important part of the marking criteria for the examiners is that not only are your ideas connected, but there is a variety of different methods used. So this is why I think trying to use as many different connectives in your writing is going to help you get that higher mark. The next thing I would recommend is try to include some details or examples in your writing. This could be in part 1 or in your choice of the part 2 questions. Doing this really shows the examiner that you have fully understood the question and the context. It's also more engaging for the examiner to read. If they can see some examples, some little extra funny details that you've included, that's great, top marks for you. It helps to clarify any ideas that you're trying to convey as well. And to be honest, it's probably closer to real life conversation. Imagine if you were doing this task in your native language. These are details that you would probably want to include. Now, I'm going to show you some examples, or 2 examples, of some writing. In the first example, we're going to see it is a perfectly acceptable answer to this exam task. It meets all the points and it would certainly pass in the exam. However, the second example includes some additional details and some examples from real life, and you can really see the difference between them. Imagine you're the examiner. Which of these 2 pieces of writing would you want to give a higher mark to? Have a look just now. If you want to pause the video to take some notes or take a photo of the screen, then absolutely do that. Okay, I said I'd be back later in the video to reveal the answer to the question I asked earlier, and here I am. So, where do you think I am from? Well, I'm interested to know. If you have any idea, please leave a comment. I would love to know if you have ever visited my country. I'm going to give you a little clue if you're still not sure. I'm from the land of castles, the land of kilts, bagpipes, sheep, cows with big horns and long hair. I'm from Scotland. Specifically, I'm from the north of Scotland in the Highlands near Inverness. So if you have ever visited Scotland, tell me about it in the comments. I would love to hear what your experience was. So there we go. Back to the video. Spelling is something that I wanted to mention in this video, not because it's a very, very important part of your writing at this level, but really because of the opposite. In the exam, of course, the examiners have set criteria that they are judging your writing on. And at the B1 level, spelling mistakes are to be expected. So when you're there, when you're in the exam room doing your task, try not to get hung up on spelling mistakes. Try not to worry about making them. If you make a spelling mistake, or even quite a few spelling mistakes in your writing task, it's probably not going to have a big impact on the overall mark that you receive. And for the examiners, the most important thing at this level, at least, is that you convey the message clearly and more or less accurately. So as long as your spelling mistakes are not too major, and you can still, or someone reading your text can still see what you're trying to say, then that's really all you need. So don't panic. Don't worry too much about spelling. If spelling is something that you find particularly difficult and you're worried it might have an impact on your exam result, try to focus on learning just the most common spelling rules in English. So here are some of them now for you to have a look at. We've got doubling the final consonant when we're adding suffixes, the silent E rule, adding li to adverbs, and changing Y to I when it appears in the middle of the word. So let's just focus on the most common spelling rules and making sure you are able to use those and apply them in your writing correctly. And there we go. That's more or less everything I can think of to share with you about the B1 Pet writing. If you have any other ideas, suggestions, comments, just leave us a message down below. I love looking at your comments, and it motivates me to try and make more of these videos if I know that they're useful and they're helping you. So thank you very much for watching. And if you are preparing for your exam, or if you're thinking about preparing for it in the future, remember to have a look at the Home Studies channel and the website. They do offer some courses and lessons if that is something you're interested in, so don't hesitate to get in touch. And as always, like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the videos that we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. Thank you for watching. Bye!